With the game on the line, you call that? How Virginia pulled, he didn't love it. Among the abiding frustrations in college basketball is when officiating fluctuates during the course of the game. The more common was a let them play battle for 39 minutes and 59 seconds. There was contact until the last shot. There also was Anna. Well, get to that. When Kyle Guy emerged from a thicket of players in the paint, cut to the corner and received an inbounds pass from running buddy Ty Jerome, Virginia was trailing by 2 and victory seemed a remote chance. When Guy rose for it, Doughty barely left the ground and had his arms pulled back, staying well below the top of Guy's lead. NCAA National Coordinator of Officials J.D. Collins cited for posterity, the most controversial Final Four foul in 30 years used since the John Clougherty whistle against Seton Hall that sent Rumeal Robinson to the line to win the 1989 national title. You came from James Breeding. His whistle seemed, then, right arm raised, Breeding walked up from the baseline to lead official Doug Sermons and said 4 powerful words
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.